There is a company in Bottrop, Germany, population 117,000, that employs 450 people whose sole purpose is to take Mercedes-Benz vehicles and make them more. Not different. More. More power, more visual aggression, more interior drama, more everything. This company has been doing this since 1977. Their name is BRABUS, and the car behind me is the most extreme thing they have ever built. Welcome back to UC Car Review. The 2027 BRABUS 800 G-Wagon, 800 horsepower from a 4-liter twin-turbocharged V8, a wide body kit that extends the G-Wagon's already imposing fenders by 4 inches on each side, a full carbon fiber hood, an interior hand-stitched to standards that rival the finest watchmaking ateliers in Switzerland, an exhaust system that, when fully opened at wide throttle, produces a sound that has been described, accurately, as terrifying, and a price tag starting at $400,000 and climbing significantly from there. I am going to answer a question today that no automotive journalist has answered honestly about a BRABUS product. Can you actually live with this car? Can you fill it with groceries, drop children at school, park in an American parking lot, and arrive at a business meeting without creating an incident? Can the most brutal SUV ever built also be a daily driver? The answer is both more surprising and more honest than anything BRABUS marketing materials suggest. Let's go through every single part of it. The BRABUS wide body kit on the 2027 G-Wagon adds 4 inches of width per side, 8 inches of total additional width across the vehicle's widest point. The standard Mercedes G63 AMG measures 76.5 inches wide, including mirrors folded. The BRABUS 800 measures 84.5 inches wide at the widest fender point before mirrors. For context, the standard width limit for most American parking spaces is 96 inches. The BRABUS 800 occupies 88% of a standard parking space before the mirrors are extended. These fender flares are not bolt-on additions. BRABUS engineers redesigned the entire front and rear quarter panel structure, new sheet metal, new mounting points, new sealing systems, to integrate the flares as structural components of the body rather than surface additions. The transition between the standard G-Wagon body panel and the BRABUS fender extension is seamless to the eye and sealed to the same waterproofing standard as the original Mercedes body. The additional width serves a functional purpose beyond visual aggression. The BRABUS 800 rides on 305-width rear tires, the same width used on the Porsche 911 Turbo SS rear axle. These tires cannot fit beneath the standard G-Wagon's fender arches. The wide body kit exists because the engine produces 800 horsepower and physics requires tires of this width to transmit that power to the ground with any degree of control. The visual drama of the wide body kit is a consequence of the engineering requirement. That distinction, form following function at its most extreme, is what separates a BRABUS modification from cosmetic aftermarket additions. The carbon fiber hood on the 2027 BRABUS 800 G-Wagon is not the carbon fiber you see on most performance vehicles, which is typically either carbon fiber reinforced polymer with a printed carbon appearance, or genuine woven carbon covered in thick lacquer that eliminates the material's natural appearance. The BRABUS hood uses pre-preg dry carbon fiber, the same material and process used in Formula One car bodywork and in aerospace structural components. Pre-preg dry carbon fiber is carbon fabric pre-impregnated with resin at a precisely controlled ratio, typically 40% resin to 60% carbon fiber by weight, cured in an autoclave at 250 degrees Fahrenheit under controlled pressure. The result is a fiber-to-resin ratio that no wet layup process can achieve, producing a component that is stronger, lighter, and more dimensionally stable than any other carbon fiber manufacturing method. The BRABUS hood weighs 18.5 pounds less than the standard steel G-Wagon hood. In a vehicle weighing 58.0 pounds, that saving is modest. In a vehicle requiring the highest possible cooling efficiency for an 800 horsepower engine, the functional vent design matters significantly more than the weight. 3 aggressive forward-facing vents extract hot air from above the engine bay at a calculated rate determined by BRABUS computational fluid dynamics analysis of the G-Wagon engine bay thermal profile under sustained maximum power output. These vents are not decorative. Without them, Sustained maximum power operation produces engine bay temperatures that exceed safe limits for multiple ancillary components. The carbon hood with its integrated vents is an engineering solution to a thermal management problem created by adding 200 horsepower to an engine never designed to produce it. Beauty and function arrived at the same destination simultaneously. The BRABUS Masterpiece Interior Program, applied to the 2027 G-Wagon 800 in its most comprehensive specification, represents the single most intensive interior personalization available in any production-based vehicle at any price. I use the word production-based deliberately because one-off coach-built interiors by companies like Vilner or Carlex exist at similar price points. The BRABUS Masterpiece program is different because it applies this level of personalization at a production rate that allows buyers to specify their vehicle through a cataloged process rather than a fully bespoke commission. The BRABUS logo stitching in the center of each seat backrest contains 1,240 individual stitches placed by a BRABUS craftsperson in Botrop, using red thread on black Alcantara, the signature BRABUS color combination that has defined their interior language since the company began offering interior modifications in the 1990s. The thread tension across all 1,240 stitches is consistent to a tolerance that the production team verifies through visual inspection under magnification before the seat is installed in the vehicle. Any stitching section failing the inspection is removed and redone from the beginning. The red contrast stitching running in parallel lines across every surface of this interior: seats, door cards, dashboard, headliner, floor mats, center console, steering wheel, uses a stitch pattern that BRABUS calls the double diamond. 2 parallel lines of stitching, each line containing a repeating diamond motif, running in the same direction across every surface simultaneously. The visual effect is of an interior designed as a complete unified object rather than as individual components assembled together. No seam in this interior does not have a red stitch running beside it. The consistency is total. The engine in the standard Mercedes G63 AMG produces 577 horsepower from a 4-liter twin-turbocharged V8. BRABUS engineers looked at that engine and decided 577 horsepower was insufficient for their purposes. After extensive development, including upgraded turbochargers with larger compressor wheels, new intercoolers with 40% greater cooling capacity, high-flow fuel injectors rated for the increased fuel delivery required at higher boost pressure, a revised engine management system recalibrated for the new turbo and fuel specifications, and a strengthened bottom end capable of sustaining the additional cylinder pressures produced. The BRABUS 800 produces 800 horsepower and 737 pound-feet of torque. That is 223 additional horsepower from the same 4-liter displacement. The increase is achieved through increased turbocharger boost pressure, approximately 23 pounds per square inch versus the standard AMG's 18 pounds, and the recalibrated fuel management that allows the combustion chambers to process the additional air mass at the higher boost level. The engineering required to make a production engine reliably produce this level of output, reliably, over a warranty period, in a vehicle used for daily driving, is significantly more sophisticated than simply turning up the boost. BRABUS backs the 800 engine with their own warranty, covering the powertrain modifications for 3 years or 30,000 miles. This warranty is only possible because BRABUS engineers have established, through extensive dyno testing and road validation, the specific failure modes that would affect an engine at this output level, and have addressed each one through the component upgrades. The result is an 800 horsepower engine that starts in cold weather, idles at traffic lights, runs air conditioning, and begins its day without drama, every single day. The BRABUS Sport exhaust system on the 2027 G-Wagon 800 is the single most divisive feature of this vehicle. Divisive because half the people who experience it describe it as the greatest sound they have ever heard from a road vehicle, and the other half describe it as antisocial, neighborhood disturbing, and borderline illegal in residential areas. Both descriptions are accurate. Simultaneously, at idle in sport mode with the exhaust valves open, the factory default when the car starts, the BRABUS 800 produces a burbling, crackling, deeply mechanical V8 sound at low RPM that draws immediate attention from any human within 200 meters. It is not the sound of a loud car. It is the sound of controlled aggression at rest, 12 cylinders working at low effort, with the mechanical character of the engine clearly audible in every exhaust pulse. At full throttle acceleration above 4,000 RPM with the exhaust fully open, the sound the BRABUS 800 produces is not describable in terms that apply to normal automotive sounds. It is a combination of 800 horsepower's worth of combustion events, amplified through a carefully tuned exhaust with specific resonance frequencies, producing a sound that contains physical pressure as well as audio content. At close range during hard acceleration, the sound pressure is measurable on skin. Photographers at the test track covered their ears. A car alarm on an adjacent vehicle activated spontaneously. In comfort mode with the exhaust valves closed, the BRABUS 800 is quieter than the standard G63 AMG. This is BRABUS' most sophisticated engineering achievement on this vehicle. The exhaust system can produce either complete aggression or genuine refinement at the driver's choice. One button press separates the most antisocial exhaust note in production vehicle history from a genuinely civilized daily driving soundtrack. 7 days. I drove the 2027 BRABUS 800 G-Wagon for 7 consecutive days across Los Angeles, the city where unusual cars are more common than any other American metropolitan area, and where even extraordinary vehicles receive muted reactions from a population accustomed to seeing everything. The BRABUS 800 received no muted reactions. Day 1, Monday morning commute on the 405 freeway. The exhaust in comfort mode is genuinely manageable. The ride quality. BRABUS has recalibrated the standard G-Wagon suspension with their BRABUS ride control sport springs and their own shock absorber specification. Is firmer than the standard G63 but not punishing. The vehicle is large, very large. In lane change situations, the 84.5-inch width requires awareness that most vehicles do not demand, but it is manageable. Day 3, grocery run at Whole Foods in Santa Monica. The parking situation requires honesty. The BRABUS 800 will not fit in a standard parking space without protruding into adjacent spaces. At 84.5 inches wide plus mirrors, the vehicle requires a wide space, end-of-row positioning, or a large format parking structure. I found adequate parking at Whole Foods in a double space at the far end of the lot after 3 minutes of evaluation. This is not convenient, but it is not impossible. Day 5, school drop-off. The response from other parents was consistent and immediate. By day 3, 3 parents had approached me at pickup to discuss the vehicle. One asked if it was street legal. One asked what it cost. One asked where to buy one. All 3 conversations were started by the exhaust note, which in comfort mode at school arrival is restrained but distinctly present. Day 7 conclusion. The BRABUS 800 G-Wagon can be daily driven in Los Angeles. It requires more planning, more parking consideration, and more tolerance for public attention than any other daily driver I have tested. But it functions as a daily vehicle without mechanical complaint, without reliability concerns, and without the exhausting demands that some extreme performance vehicles place on their drivers in normal use. The exhaust valve system makes it possible. Without comfort mode, without the ability to silence the aggression when silence is required, daily driving would be genuinely impractical. $407,500. That is the base price of the 2027 BRABUS 800 G-Wagon in standard specification. Before the masterpiece interior package, before the BRABUS Star Trek alloy wheel upgrade, before the color-to-sample exterior paint options that BRABUS offers through their individual program. The fully specified vehicle in this review, with masterpiece interior, BRABUS Star Trek 24-inch wheels, and the carbon package extending carbon fiber elements to the mirror caps, door sills, and rear spoiler, sits at $438,500. What you receive for that money, the honest breakdown. You receive a Mercedes G63 AMG as a starting point, a vehicle that alone costs $175,000 and represents one of the most proven, most reliable, most capable luxury off-road platforms in automotive history. Onto that proven foundation, BRABUS adds approximately $260,000 of modifications: wide body engineering, carbon fiber components, powertrain development and warranty, exhaust system, interior masterpiece program, suspension recalibration, wheel and tire upgrade, and the BRABUS badging that communicates what all of it means to anyone who recognizes the name. Against the competition at this price, nothing directly competes because nothing directly attempts what the BRABUS 800 achieves. The Rolls-Royce Cullinan at $345,000 offers more traditional luxury, but 800 fewer horsepower, no wide body kit, and a significantly less dramatic exhaust note. The Lamborghini Urus SC at $280,000 offers more performance SUV character, but seats only 5, lacks the G-Wagon's legendary off-road capability, and does not produce the specific cultural impact that a BRABUS G-Wagon produces in any environment. My final honest verdict: the 2027 BRABUS 800 G-Wagon is not the most practical vehicle at its price. It is not the most technologically sophisticated. It does not offer the smoothest ride or the most refined daily driving experience. What it offers is something genuinely unique in the automotive world. The combination of the most recognizable SUV silhouette in automotive history, transformed by Germany's most respected tuner, into an 800 horsepower statement of individual conviction that no factory vehicle at any price can replicate. Can you daily drive it? Yes, in Los Angeles, with planning and tolerance for attention. In a smaller city with tighter parking infrastructure, the answer becomes more complicated. The exhaust comfort mode makes daily driving possible. The width makes it demanding. The attention it generates makes it exhausting for some owners and energizing for others. Know which one you are before writing the check. Is it worth $438,500? For the specific buyer who has decided that the G-Wagon silhouette combined with BRABUS' particular brand of extreme performance is exactly what they want to communicate about themselves to the world. Yes, completely. There is nothing else that delivers this specific combination at any price. UC Car Review 2027 BRABUS 800 G-Wagon, 9.1 out of 10. The most brutal daily driver ever reviewed on this channel. Subscribe because next week we find out if anything can be more extreme than this.